Hello everyone. Welcome to week 2. This week we are going to talk about 2 new elements of the balanced literacy framework. We're going to be discussing shared reading and interactive read aloud. Both of these elements assist your students in becoming lifelong readers. The instructional practices of these 2 elements play a key role in both decoding and comprehension instruction. We know that students, as they are very, very young, love to hear books read over and over and over again. Well, as a teacher, you will rely on that love for familiar texts to help your children become growing independent readers. Shared reading can be used throughout grade levels to negotiate text as a community and to explicitly teach comprehension and decoding strategies. Reading aloud is also important for the continued development of older readers. Shared reading and interactive read aloud are both highly beneficial practices for ELL students. Chapter 3 in our text begins on page 53, and it's titled From Shared to Guided Reading in the Early Years. And there is a lot of important information in here. And Fountas and Pinnell cite Vygotsky saying that shared reading rests on the principle that what a child can do in cooperation today, he can do alone tomorrow. So it's that I do, we do, you do. We know that shared reading builds a strong early reading process for students. They can demonstrate their early understandings like print awareness, letters, sounds, words, and how print works during shared reading. They hear that language of books, so they're aware of that language. They have story awareness. Page 61 talks about the values of shared reading for early readers. And then it talks about selecting texts for shared reading. You want to think about texts that provide early experiences with print, texts that lead the development of an early reading process, texts that promote the construction of meaning and the development of language. So it's not just, oh, I got to go grab a big book and read it with my kids today. No. There's specific tools and materials for shared reading. Those are listed on 65. The components of a shared reading lesson for early readers can be found on page 67. And on page 68 and 69, you'll find the basic components of a shared reading lesson for early readers. It talks about how you can select a text, how you introduce a text to the students, what the first reading is like, and the first reading, you will read it to the students. I repeat that. You read it to the students. They're listening. Afterwards, you may be discussing the text. The second reading is different. This is where that you and the students are working to read the words. You want to use their memory of the language of the text. And then subsequent readings. There's many, many things that you can do with those shared reading texts. Chapter 4 talks about shared and performance reading across the grades. On page 84, it discusses what shared reading is for emergent readers, early readers, independent or middle level readers. Page 85 lists the values of shared reading for those middle level readers. Talks about the type of texts that are used with intermediate middle level readers, what the big books are like. And you can see on page 89 that that big book looks dramatically different than a big book that you would read with an emergent reader. You can also use poems with any age group for shared reading. When I was in the classroom, I always did nursery rhymes on charts, and the kids loved it. We would use their interactive writing from charts as their texts for shared reading. Readers' theater scripts for older children. Then it talks about writing in response to shared reading. Page 96 begins teaching for strategic actions. You will want to read that closely. So by the end of the week, you will be able to explain in writing the differences and similarities between shared reading and interactive read aloud, and how both are a part of balanced literacy. It's not one or the other. In a balanced literacy classroom, every day you have shared reading, and every day you have an interactive read aloud. You will also be able to explain in writing how the practices of shared reading and interactive read aloud support the diverse learning needs of students. When I looked at this last week, of course, this video was here. It will be replaced. As I said earlier, that not all videos on YouTube are exemplary videos. The videos in this course and in 3041 are exemplary videos for you to model lessons from. If you have questions, please ask me. The forum this week is you are going to explain your understanding of the differences and similarities between shared reading and interactive read aloud. How do they fit as part of a balanced literacy classroom? What can you teach through shared reading? What can you teach through interactive read aloud? How can these practices benefit the diverse learning needs of students? Please be sure to cite 2 additional sources in addition to our course reading, and respond substantially to 2 of your peers. Please look at that rubric before you submit your post in response to peers, because that is how your posts and responses are scored, with the rubric. If you have any questions about shared reading or interactive read aloud or anything, please reach out and ask me. Thank you.